Hello everyone. I have not uploaded a video in a while, and for that I apologize. Things have just been whatever it is, but I decided that I wanted to chat with you all because I am about to finish my very first free diary, which has the undated planner on the side and then the note page, the memo page on the other side. And I wanted to just do a quick flip through, let you know how it evolved. I am not going to censor my journal here before I share, just in the essence of transparency, I guess, and naivety and laziness. So yeah, it was a good 28 weeks, or what are we at now? 27 weeks of using this bad boy, and I am just so happy that I finally found my groove with it. I didn't decorate this very much, unlike other journals or inserts that I have in here. So I do plan on doing something with it. I'm not sure what quite yet, but I did really like this Katie Mai washi tape. And then I am so sorry, but I forget who did this wonderful illustration for the vinyl sticker, but I did really like that. I stole it off of my kid's Nintendo Switch when he decided he was done with it. So nothing really in the beginning. I pulled this from a Bear sticker set and translated it with the camera, which I love as that feature. Nothing really here either. I did use the calendar days in here for birthday tracking. Just helps me to be able to have it all in one place that isn't my phone, so it's really nice. So I started off in September of 2024, really kind of excited to doodle in here and figuring out how I wanted to use it. I had all my schedule stuff and general notes for the day, like on the left where anybody was sick or what books I finished or started. So that ended up being nice. And I went into this thinking that I would throw it out. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but for now I'll hold on to it, even if it's just for YouTube's sake. For a while I was having therapy notes in here just because I thought that was something that I didn't necessarily want in my commonplace, but I did want to be able to see it in a journal. More schedule stuff here. I was tracking my food for a little bit. You'll start to see that I also went ahead and tracked some habits in here a little bit, and it went okay. It was nice having it here, but ultimately I really like having all of my habits and all of my health notes and tracking and stuff like that all in one place. It really helps when I'm at the doctor and I want to be able to give a really good look at, or have a really good look and explanation of like what's been going on with me and how I've been doing, how I've been sleeping, what have I been doing that might have interrupted my sleep, etc. So I moved this stuff over to that. This was a really fun place for me to stick little drawings that my kids did that were super cute. And it was around here where I started to move my business stuff. And I shouldn't quote my business. I do run a business, but it's kind of on the back burner and I'm not putting as much time and effort into it as I would like. But I did move from my passport into here again. I wanted to make sure that I was doing at least one small thing a day for my business. So I did go ahead and use the divider here to start showing myself that like, hey, I am doing something small every day for my business. So that shrunk the amount of space that I was using for my actual plans. And that ended up being nice. Apparently, I was also using this as a gratitude journal for a little bit. Some things that I was recording over here is that I started writing down stuff with the notation, which is the dash, for my spouse so that we could make sure to stay on the same page. As we became busier in our jobs, I realized that instead of texting him every few minutes and trying to curb my impulsivity, my natural impulsivity that I have, I would write it down. I call it my Chris list. And then every night we sync up and talk about whatever that we need to talk about. So sometimes the lists are long, sometimes they're not. I was really excited for a little bit there. I was using my own stickers. You can see again the habits for my business and just random stuff there. Let's see. nothing too exciting in here. Lovely sterling ink freebie when I ordered a sterling ink insert. And you'll see, like, I didn't really do too much for a while in my business, but it's okay. It's so nice to be able to like have a spot if I decide I want to track sales in here, or milestones. I can do that. So it's there, right? I don't need it. I don't refer to it often, and I don't make an absolute habit of tracking things, but it's cool to say like, oh, hey, back in January, the beginning of this year, I was at 1,200 subscribers. Now I'm at 2,000, I think. So it's a cool thing to be able to have. This might have been rummy, unsure. But yeah, and it also gives me like a decent amount of space to kind of flex a little bit of lettering, even though I certainly don't letter as much as I used to. It's nice to be able to have this spot and go ahead and test pens in here too. I got to a spot where I was eventually planning ahead 1 or 2 weeks. And I have to say, it was really great, but it also stressed me out to the point where I was like, wait, I would write something down and be like, wait, what week is this happening? Is this happening now or what? And I just mushed like multiple weeks together. So it ended up being a little messy for a bit. This was a fun notation I had as a traveler's notebook, Baumkuchen, Truly Yours countdown. This is the day that I mailed out my traveler's notebook for the Baumkuchen Truly Yours service. And these are the days of when it was away. So I knew how many days door to door that I received my Baumkuchen, because I was missing it, or my traveler's notebook, I was missing it so much. Just more stuff here, more stuff, blah, blah, blah. Nothing too exciting. I joined a illustration course for surface pattern design, and I have some things in here, which is super exciting. For longer blocks of time, I will note when I am solo parenting or when there's any sort of week-long thing, school closures, etc. I'll mark in a vertical fashion. And then we're here. So this is what I was using as my bookmark for the week. I really like these Midori tab things. They're very slim and they make it really easy for me to find what I need without using a thicker bookmark or clip or whatever you want to do. Also, let me just say I'm so bummed that I have a permanent ink for my fountain pen, and even a week after letting it dry, I use my mild liner on it and it's smeared, but I'm figuring all that out. I'm still very new to fountain pens, very new to inks, and I'm still figuring all this out. So either way, yeah, so I got down to the very last week here. I will continue to use this through the end of next week, but then I have, this is my awful blotting section. I do have my brand new traveler's notebook. And let me just say, this excuse me while I get on my shop small horse or soapbox or whatever you want to call it. I was trying so hard to buy this in a small shop. There is a lovely store, and Amoy is the store, spoiler alert, in Philadelphia, where I went with my son a couple weeks ago to pick one of these up and maybe something else very small. They were out of stock. And so I went on their website and signed up for an out of stock notification or a restock notification. Got the notification earlier this week, which was just in time because I was literally about to buy it, like give in and buy it on Amazon, which breaks my heart with what's going on. And I was in Philadelphia this morning for my weekly meeting, and I drove up to the Oimoizaka and then had a really hard time finding parking, had a really hard time finding the actual notebook in the store. Turns out that they had, yes, in fact, restocked it, but it was not on the floor yet. So I had to bother one of the customer service people, the store associates, to locate the box, unpack the box, so that I could have my, $13 notebook, which just felt like a lot. And I am so appreciative of the people who helped me. I am so appreciative of myself for hanging in there and being patient with in-person shopping. We live in a world where just so much can come to us in the least amount of friction possible. It would have been so much easier for me to just close this chapter of buying a new 019, buying it on Amazon, having it delivered to me for free the very next day, multiple times throughout this process of like a month's long search for where was I going to buy this online? Was I going to hit the minimum shipping amount? Like, it was a whole lot of rabbit hole shopping that I was doing, trying to hit the minimum amount, even though I don't have cash to spend on stationery right now. It was just a mess, guys, but I am so happy that it all worked out. I finally have it in my possession, and thank you, Amoy, for being there for me and for allowing me to solicit your small shop over and over and over again. And it'll just be so nice to hop into this brand new notebook with the MD paper. Oh man, it feels so new. It's crazy. The cream paper, I love this notebook. I am so glad that I finally figured out how to use it and how to make sure it works well in my life. So I will for sure be putting this somewhere on here after I decorate it. Okay, so excuse me while I interject with a little bit of decorating fun. I wanted to use one of my old patterns to help inspire me to make more art. My art is very silly, and I think it's cute. I would really love if the printer went all the way to the edges, but therein lies the problem. So instead of having it have a gap on either side, I'm just gonna cut it down the middle, and you'll see what I'm gonna do. So excuse me while I try to peel this guy. I made this pattern, it must have been back in 2016, before I even really knew that kawaii was a style. So I guess it's just kind of built into me. So I printed this out on Online Labels sticker paper, just plain matte white. Oh my gosh, this is stressful to do on camera. Okay, so there we go. Not perfect. That's fine. And I'm going to fold these over per the suggestion of somebody lovely that saw a reel that I did for my journal, because for this one I just cut it off at the edges, and they're like, oh, well, if you fold it over, it would be a lot more secure. Excellent point. Excellent point, nice friend. So I will do the same here. Got a little bit of breakfast goodness, a little peek of breakfast goodness on the side there. And then to commemorate how grateful I am to Omoizaka for having this notebook back in stock, I will put their sticker right here. Why not? And if I want to decorate it more, I will later. And before I close out, because I feel like this video has been absolutely not super helpful, maybe this will do it. So I have 4 books in here. In order to switch out the second book, I need to take the first book off all the way around, and then take out the second book, which I will keep in my traveler's notebook until I run out of space, but in a loose leaf fashion, so I'll show you at the end. So this is hooked on to the last book. I will then slip this in. Yay, there's the middle. Okay, slip this in. It really does have a nice crispness that this one just doesn't have anymore. And then I will slip my first notebook back in here, which I'm currently using as an art notebook slash sketchbook slash commonplace. It probably won't stay in here forever, but it is nice to have in there. So that is how that will be. Very nice to have this in here. And while I finish out these last couple weeks, I will likely just keep it in the front, kind of loosey-goosey in here. And that's all for today. Okay, thanks for watching, y'all. See ya.